Well, after an 80-degree day yesterday, we are in a day of transition with showers, cooler air moving in, and it's going to stay cool for a while. We'll let you know how cold and for how long, all coming up. Well, it was a very warm Tuesday, October the 11th yesterday, 80s widespread across southern Minnesota. A lot of places in southwestern Minnesota in the mid 80s. Redwood Falls, one of many places that was there. The warmest spot in the state, 85 in Granite Falls yesterday. And across the Twin Cities, most of us as well in the low 80s, including 80 evenly at the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport. And that is pretty rare in the season. Now, on average, of course, the last 80 of the season has moved up and later than what it used to be historically, about October 1st. But this is the latest we've had an 80-degree reading since 2015, and only the third time it's been this late or later since the year 2000. And a day like yesterday made twice as likely, thanks to climate change with our warming that we've seen in October. But 80-degree days do happen late in the season. Even historically, October is a volatile time of year, but we've just made it more likely than what it used to be. Unfortunately, not a lot of rainfall picked up yesterday and overnight. The most of it was in the northwestern parts of the metro area and just beyond around Monticello, Big Lake, some of those areas. And some of the storms did produce some hail, mostly under the severe criteria in central Minnesota, but up into the northwest part of the state around Gein, we had 1.75-inch hail. So that's some pretty large hail, but it was brief. And we've got two cold fronts moving through. So kind of like last week, it takes a double whammy to cool us down. The first one came through last night, touched off the thunderstorms, cooled things down a bit, but it's the second one that's bringing the clouds and showers this afternoon that's going to be the second punch of even colder air for the next several days. And with it brings some scattered showers because the lower atmosphere in the ground is still relatively warm and moist, and we're cooling off the middle of the atmosphere. That creates instant instability. So scattered showers, as long as we've got daylight today, those will subside once the sun goes down. And to the west, where it's drier, red flag warnings, huge area across the Dakotas, parts of southwestern Minnesota into Iowa, eastern Nebraska, where it's very dry and very windy as well. Everything in brown, this is 20 to 30% relative humidity this afternoon, so some very dry air. That means that anything that's out there and dead can dry out even more when the relative humidity is that low. Sustained wind speeds in those areas as well, 25 to 35 miles per hour, but even higher wind gusts. So that's why any fire that could get going or sparked will be out of control pretty quickly. 50 to 60 mile an hour gusts across North and South Dakota into eastern Nebraska, and maybe even into southwestern Minnesota. We could see some 45, 50 mile an hour gusts today. So that's why that fire danger is of particular concern there. Tomorrow will be colder, highs mostly in the 40s statewide, even some upper 30s only in northeastern Minnesota. And the outlook remains cool for really everywhere east of the Rockies, below normal temperatures for the next 7 to 10 days still. We talked about this yesterday. This cold upper level low is just going to kind of spin around Minnesota, the Great Lakes, and between us and Hudson Bay. And that means more clouds, cool temperatures, and occasionally some instability, showers or sprinkles. Now, the coldest morning looks to be maybe Monday or Tuesday morning next week. Widespread freeze, even in the Twin Cities, where we still haven't even hit 32. So we may go right past the 32-degree mark and head right for the 20s early next week. That's how chilly this air is. 54, the high of the day is behind us. We continue to drop just shy of 50 maybe the next several days. Could have a string of them. It'll be close. Lots of clouds with that cold air aloft. And again, a couple of sprinkle chances here Friday, Saturday, Sunday. No washouts here, but there will be a few stray showers. Generally just not very nice. And then heading into early next week, it does get brighter, not necessarily just warmer yet, but by mid to late week next week, should see normal temperatures and maybe even beyond. We're not done with 60s or maybe even warmer just yet.